Everything changes the moment that roar from the oil field breaks the quiet. It's the kind of sound that doesn't just shake the ground, it shakes every life connected to it. In this episode, that single moment becomes the spark that pushes every character closer to danger, closer to secrets, and closer to choices they can't take back. The episode opens with a tense stillness, the kind that tells you trouble is only a breath away. This hangs in the early morning light as workers move across the site with a strange mix of caution and urgency. It feels like everyone senses that something is building, even if no one can name it yet. The camera follows the slow rhythm of the oil field before the piece cracks with a sudden noise, deep, violent, and impossible to ignore. The ground trembles as a pressure surge sends alarms blaring. Workers shout over the chaos, running toward the source while others scramble to shut down equipment. It's clear that whatever went wrong is bigger than a simple malfunction. This moment immediately shifts the mood. The calm from the last episode is gone, replaced with fear and tension. You can see it in the characters' faces as they gather around the rig. Some stare with worrying, others with frustration, and a few with a quiet knowing they've seen signs of trouble before. But no one wanted to admit how bad things could get. The show doesn't rush this moment. Instead, it lets the panic and confusion settle into the air, making the audience feel every second of uncertainty. As the dust settles, the leaders on site rush to take control. Orders fly rapidly, but it's clear they're acting on instinct rather than a full understanding of what happened. That's what makes it even more gripping. No one really knows the danger yet, and the unknown feels heavier than the broken machinery. And while the workers try to stabilize the situation, the main characters arrive, each carrying their own baggage and fears from previous events. You can sense the pressure building, not only in the ground beneath them, but in their relationships, decisions, and secrets. The opening makes it clear that this episode won't be about fixing a single mechanical problem. It's about the way disaster exposes cracks in people's lives. Every character reacts differently. Some step up to help, some step back to protect themselves, and others look around, realizing that this could be the moment everything they built starts to fall apart. The episode uses this chaotic start to show how fragile control can be in the world of oil, where one wrong move or one hidden truth can destroy everything in seconds. This first part sets the tone for the entire episode. The danger is real, and the fear is louder than the machines. It promises that the problems on the field aren't just technical, they're personal, they're political, and they're about to drag every character deeper into conflict. The tension doesn't fade as the opening closes. Instead, it leaves you with a cold, uneasy feeling that the worst is still coming. And no one is ready for it. Right after the chaos settles, the episode pushes deeper into the heart of the oil field, where pressure is more than just something in the pipes. It's a force on people, on choices, on loyalty, and on the truth everyone keeps avoiding. In this part of the story, the leaders gather around the damaged area, and the silence between them says more than their arguments ever could. They all know something is off. The reports don't add up, the warning signs were missed, and the sudden pressure spike feels too sharp, too sudden, too strange to ignore. It's the kind of problem that doesn't just threaten the rigs, it threatens jobs, money, and the future of everyone tied to this place. The workers stand by, watching the supervisors argue about what went wrong. Some think it was a technical slip. Others believe someone tampered with the readings. And a few whisper theories that no one wants to repeat out loud. But underneath it all is a simple fear. If this failure spreads, the entire operation could shut down. That fear fills every conversation like a shadow. Even characters who weren't on the field at the time now feel the weight of it. Word travels fast, and rumors travel even faster. The show uses those rumors to build the tension slowly, making you wonder if this was an accident or the start of something bigger. As the investigation continues, one character steps forward with a detail that changes everything. They point out that the equipment had been serviced recently and the timing doesn't match the nature of the malfunction. This sparks a deeper suspicion. It suggests that someone knew this could happen or wanted it to happen. Suddenly, the scene feels heavier. Trust becomes thin. The air thickens with doubt, and alliances that once seemed stable begin to crack. No one wants to be blamed, but everyone wants answers. And beneath their calm voices, you can sense anger, frustration, and desperation rising. The pressure isn't only on the machinery, it's inside the characters too. One of them tries to take control of the situation, insisting they need to shut down the site until they understand what happened. Another refuses, arguing that shutting down now would destroy their financial stability and put hundreds of workers at risk. This disagreement exposes the real divide in the group. Some care about safety and survival. Others care about power, reputation, and the money tied to every minute the rigs are running. The conflict becomes a quiet battlefield, with every line spoken like a strike aimed at someone's weak spot. What makes this section powerful is the way the episode shows small moments that reveal big truths. A worker avoiding eye contact. A manager clutching a report too tightly. A silent glance shared between two people who know more than they're saying. It all builds to the idea that the malfunction might not be an isolated event at all. It might be part of a chain reaction set off by greed, secrecy, or something hidden deep beneath the surface literally and emotionally. By the end of this segment, the field is no longer just a workplace. It becomes a puzzle full of missing pieces. Every character stands on edge, knowing that if they don't figure out the cause soon, the next disaster could be worse. The tension is slow but sharp, digging into each moment, reminding you that in this world, danger isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet conversations, the closed doors, and the unspoken motives that hold the real threat. This section ends with a promise of bigger conflict ahead. The oil field is unstable, the truth is buried, and the people running it are more divided than ever. And the more they push forward, the more it feels like someone somewhere is waiting for them to break, while the chaos on the oil field builds pressure on the outside. The real storms begin brewing inside the characters themselves. This part of the episode shifts focus from machinery and danger to the emotional cracks running through the people who try to keep everything together. It becomes clear that the malfunction didn't just shake the ground, it shook relationships, trust, and every personal bond already stretched thin. The show slows down just enough to let us see how deeply the fallout reaches and how much everyone is hiding behind forced calm. One of the main characters finds themselves caught between duty and family. They want to appear strong in front of the crew, but inside, they're battling fear that something larger is slipping out of their control. At home, the tension is just as heavy. A loved one questions the long hours, the stress, and the secrets that keep piling up. There's a quiet argument, not loud or explosive, but full of disappointment and worrying. Words spoken carefully, almost gently, still cut deep. This moment shows how the pressure of the job doesn't stay on the field, it follows them everywhere, turning homes into another battlefield. Meanwhile, another character deals with a betrayal they didn't see coming. Someone they trusted withheld important information about the site's earlier warning signs. Instead of confronting them in public, the character chooses silence, letting the hurt settle into their expression. The show frames this silence in a way that says everything. They feel misled, used, and unsure of who is truly on their side. That emotional distance becomes a new tension that spreads into their decisions on the field. You can sense the shift. This is someone who no longer wants to rely on anyone else. Someone who now carries a private storm that changes how they act around others. Secrets become a major theme in this section. A character who seems calm and collected starts slipping away from the group more often, making private calls, hiding documents, and avoiding direct questions. Their behavior hints that they know far more about the malfunction than they're admitting. Maybe they're involved, maybe they're protecting someone, or maybe they're trapped by a secret that could ruin lives. The episode doesn't reveal the truth yet, it only shows enough to make the audience suspicious. Every small movement, every nervous glance adds to the sense that someone is controlling the situation from the shadows. Personal mistakes also start coming to light. One character is forced to face the consequences of a decision they made earlier in the season, something they thought they buried. Now, the guilt grows heavier as the current disaster makes their past choices impossible to ignore. The weight shows in their body language, in the tired look in their eyes, and in the way they avoid certain conversations. They know the truth could destroy their standing, and maybe even harm the people they care about. This emotional struggle becomes one of the strongest threads in the episode, reminding viewers that danger isn't always external. Sometimes it lives inside the characters themselves. Relationships between the characters become more complicated as tension rises. Old alliances begin to crack, and unlikely connections start to form. A character who once kept their distance now finds themselves drawn towards someone they never expected to rely on. These new bonds bring moments of honesty, where characters finally admit fears they've been hiding. But even those moments of openness carry uncertainty. No one knows who they can trust anymore. And trust becomes something rare, fragile, and easily broken. By the end of this section, the audience can feel the weight of every hidden motive, every secret conversation, and every unspoken truth. The emotional stakes rise just as sharply as the physical danger did earlier in the episode. The characters aren't just fighting a malfunction, they're battling themselves, their relationships, and the lies they've learned to live with. And as these personal conflicts deepen, it becomes clear that the problems on the field are connected to the cracks in their lives. The episode leaves you with the sense that the emotional tension may explode long before the next technical disaster does. And when it does, the consequences will be just as destructive. The episode shifts again, moving away from the personal storms and into the cold world of corporate power, where feelings don't matter and every decision is shaped by money, image, and control. As the investigation into the malfunction continues, the higher-ups step in with a force that feels almost heavier than the disaster itself. Their presence changes the entire atmosphere. The workers lower their voices, the supervisors straighten their backs, and even the main characters choose their words with extra care. These corporate figures don't arrive to help, they arrive to protect profits, reputation, and whatever secrets they don't want exposed. The executives quickly take charge, pushing aside those who were actually on the scene when the problem happened. They demand reports, explanations, and proof that the situation is contained. But they aren't really looking for the truth. They're looking for a version of the truth that won't hurt them. Anyone who shows doubt or raises a concern is silenced with a sharp look or a quiet threat disguised as a reminder about company loyalty. This pressure builds a new layer of conflict, where characters now find themselves fighting not just the disaster, but the system that wants to hide it. One of the executives brings up the cost of shutting down operations, insisting that even a short pause could cause financial damage that the company cannot afford. This sparks a heated disagreement with one of the main characters, who argues that ignoring the danger could cost far more in the long run. It becomes a battle of values: safety versus profit, honesty versus image. The argument plays out with polite words but fierce intensity, each side trying to maintain control without losing their temper. The tension feels thick enough to snap. You can sense that both sides know they're right, but only one side has the power to make the final call. What makes this section even more gripping is the subtle manipulation happening beneath the surface. A corporate representative privately pulls one of the characters aside, offering tempting promises wrapped in careful language. They hint at promotions, raises, and future influence if the character stays quiet about certain details. The moment is chilling because it shows how easy it is for people to be pushed, tempted, or controlled when everything they've worked for is at risk. You can see the characters struggling, not because they want to betray anyone, but because they feel trapped between morality and survival. Meanwhile, another character suspects that corporate has been hiding data long before the malfunction. They dig through old reports, old notes, and old warning signs, and what they uncover points to a shocking possibility. The company knew this field was unstable. It wasn't just ignored, it was covered up. The character's discovery becomes a dangerous secret of its own, something they can't easily share without becoming a target. This adds a layer of suspense that doesn't rely on explosions or alarms. The danger now is political, quiet, and lurking behind every polite smile from the executives. The pressure from above also affects the workers. Rumors start spreading that layoffs might happen if the company decides the site is too risky. These whispers create fear and frustration among the crew, turning coworkers into competitors for job security. Small conflicts break out, and trust fades quickly. People who used to stand side by side now question each other's motives. This shift shows how corporate decisions don't stay in boardrooms, they ripple through the lives of everyone below, shaking the foundation of the entire community. As the episode moves toward its end, the corporate involvement grows even darker. One executive suggests blaming the malfunction on a low-level worker who isn't even present to defend themselves. It's a scapegoat tactic meant to distract from the company's failings. The suggestion shocks some characters and infuriates others, but it reveals the true nature of the power structure. When something goes wrong, the blame always falls on the people least able to fight back. The moment is a turning point. It pushes certain characters closer together and pushes others into dangerous moral territory. By the time this section closes, the threat is no longer just mechanical or emotional, it's systemic. The episode makes it clear that the biggest danger might not be the unstable equipment at all. It might be the people in suits, the ones pulling strings from behind closed doors, shaping the story to protect themselves. The characters now stand in a world where every choice has consequences, every truth has a cost, and every lie might become an enemy depending on who whispers into their ear. The pressure is rising from every direction, and the episode leaves you with the haunting sense that the real fight hasn't even begun yet.